Hey everyone, Nickolas Wildstar, candidate for California governor here. I do apologize for the delay there in starting. It looks as if we lost our Facebook followers there because of the delay in the broadcast, so we only are streaming live on YouTube at this time. We'll get that link out to the Facebook audience and see if they can jump in. But again, I do apologize for the technical difficulties and the delay. But we do have Mr. John Prinz here. I hope I'm saying that correctly, who will be speaking with us about his experience being a medicinal marijuana patient. And hopefully we'll have our friend from 151 Farmers, Darryl Cotton, be able to jump in this community Q&A discussion. But in the meantime, John, again, thank you for being here with me to speak with me. Are you able to hear me? Can you hear me, John?
How are you doing? I can't see you though.
You can't see me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You can hear me, but you can't see me. Are you able to see? Is there a delay?
No, I can't see you at all.
All right, is there a delay there?
I can't even. No, mine's not even working. Let me see.
Hey there, Cotton. I'm trying to.
What's happening, gentlemen?
Looks like it's frozen.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the stream going here with Prinz.
Yeah, it looks like it's frozen. It says I'm backstage.
I see him and hear him. I see him and hear him.
Nickolas, it says I'm backstage.
No, you're on the show right now. We can see you and hear you just fine.
Hi, Diana.
Well, I don't know what I did then.
Can anybody hear us now right yet or no? We're not live yet, are we?
All right.
We are.
It's,
live. Okay. Hi, everybody.
Yeah,
I don't see you guys at all.
Hello, Tehama County, NorCal Public Watch here again today.
All right.
But you can hear us though, right, John?
It says we're live.
Yeah, we are.
But I don't see anything.
Well, we see you. That's all that matters.
Yeah, as long as you're able to see us, then we can just keep this going.
All right.
I mean, as long as you can hear us, then we can keep going.
Yeah, this is the first time I've done this before. It's kind of weird. You guys, yeah, I can hear you. I'll just do it just like if I'm on the phone. It's no big deal.
Exactly.
I seen what your face looks like. Anyway, how you guys doing?
We're doing good.
It's been a busy day, but I appreciate the both of you taking time out of your schedules to speak with me.
Absolutely. You want to kick it off? How do we do on campaign contributions over the last 24 hours?
It's breaking up.
Wonderful so far. I've been able to collect about $700 in campaign donations. I just got a $500.
Yeah. Can you? All right, go ahead. I can't hear you guys, but
you can't hear us at all, John?
Why don't we try to get him to come back on to the link? I mean, I'm seeing it. I'm hearing him.
Yeah. So,
yeah, we can see and hear you. If you can hear us, then you might want to refresh your connection.
Mm-hmm.
Copy that, John?
You guys are breaking up.
All right. I'm not sure where you are or how your connection is, but if you could exit the studio.
Okay, I'll get off and no, you guys are you're when you guys talk together, you're breaking up.
Somebody said the internet sucks in Talbot County. So maybe that's the issue, the big problem out there. Hopefully we'll be able to get him back on.
Let's take this minute. Hopefully he can come back on, but can you give the audience an update? How's it been going on your campaign drive? Anything new in terms of media coverage? Please let us know.
Yes, I've been getting lots of donations recently. Like I said, I just recently got a $500 donation from George at 420 College here in Fresno. And yeah, extremely wonderful. Quite a few $20, $25 donations running in. A lot of people taking us up on the Cash App challenge to donate, $42 or $420 or $4.20 or whatever.
Hey, 151 Farms was good for $42. I mean, we might not have a lot.
Exactly. Now, if we times that by 1,000, you know what I mean? Then we'll have that. We'll have that filing fee. I got John in the back. Let's see if it's better for you, John. Are you able to connect any better now? Is that better?
Hey, John.
No, can you hear us or see us? Because we have you in the studio or live. No?
It's too bad. He's got a heck of a story, folks.
Oh, no. Yeah, I was hoping to speak with him, but it looks as if he's still having technical issues. He's unable to hear us. But, John, we can see and hear you.
I can see you guys, and I can see you.
John, can you hear us? Can you tell us a little bit about your story? How long have you been a medical cannabis patient?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you tell us your story?
Yeah. So, what you guys want to know?
When did you get into medical cannabis and why? Horrible delay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think he's just got really bad internet.
We can hear you.
I don't know.
We can hear you just fine.
You know, this might be the kind of thing where we need to get him into a hotspot in town or something.
Basically, I'm from Northern California. I got injured at work at a paper mill in '92. I got into medical cannabis because of my depression.
How long ago was that?
I was a patient in 1997.
Okay.
I don't think you guys are hearing me, huh?
We hear you, but it was the San Francisco Buyers Club that you were part of that group?
I was a member, Darryl, to Dennis Peron's first cannabis buyers club in San Francisco, California in 1996 and 7, I believe, because my doctor told me to go down there and get medical cannabis for my depression. 1997.
And did it help? Did cannabis help with the depression?
Yep. And most of those people are passed away because they had AIDS, and some of us are still around. And what I want you guys to hear is Dennis Peron every Friday gave away 8,808 for free to all of us members.
Wow.
Fantastic.
And that's really the word compassion, is when you can give it away for free.
So you were involved in the single page of the Prop 215 initiative. It
helped a lot. But then I read a doctor's book from a Harvard professor. His name was Dr. Grinspoon. I got this book at Haight-Ashbury when I was buying a pipe. It was called Marijuana, the Forbidden Medicine, from Dr. Grinspoon. And what I learned in there, Darryl, is that in 1914, cannabis replaced pharmaceutical heroin. So I had to look at myself and realize yes, I use that. I still believe in that one-page law.
It was very simple.
It's real simple. It's 11362.5. It's written in our Constitution. If we all believe in our Second Amendment or First Amendment and all of our constitutions in California since 1850, just think about that. 1850, we've been a state. So I'm Darryl from a place. Tehama County is very special because of a place called Vina, California, that basically guy rode down on a horseback all the way to Monterey, and they took this state in 1846, called the Bear Flag Revolt. No one knows about that, but it's a real thing. So California got taken over by ranchers, and believe it or not, I believe this cannabis plant has been taken over also by ranchers out of Fresno, out of Bakersfield, out of all of the counties that have cowboys. It's crazy.
Sacramento.
That's what Tehama County is. It's a rancher's paradise. You know, you guys ever been on a 6,600 acre ranch?
I have, actually.
How much
Monstrous.
cannabis can you grow on 6,000 acres?
Depends. Do we have water? Do we have the, a lot of things come into play, but I think cannabis today is far different. Cannabis today is far different than what it was with you and Dennis Perone. I think it's a delay.
Yeah, it's a terrible delay. I wish there was something we could do about that, but
he's in a bad spot.
Exactly.
I think the big thing that he's going to bring to light here, though, the differences between cannabis and the 90s.
The most important message out here is cannabis replaced my drug Oxycontin.
And what's different today in 2021 about cannabis law compared to what you had back with Prop 215?
Man.
Yeah. I think this is his first time on StreamYard, too. He might not have a very good spot.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's try to get him back on another show. But folks, what I really admire about John is he's been true, dedicated, and advocate, and he really digs into the law. So when I don't know how much of this you were able to grab, but on Prop 215, one page, the simplicity of it was such that it wasn't overregulated. It wasn't a burden. And people like Dennis Perone were giving out, 8,000 eighths every Friday to people that couldn't afford it because he was in a position to do that. It was a position of responsibility and compassion. So what we have today, Nickolas, is obviously some things are happening. Tomorrow we'll have David Armstrong. Following him, Friday, we have James Cotton. So we have some environmentalists. We have some old school medical cannabis collective operators. Then you've got patients like John Prinz. And they're here to say they're not satisfied. And we need somebody to occupy those offices up there in Sacramento that truly give a fuck. And they're going to make things happen, not just be talking about it. We need action.
I think the best thing about what he said was how medicinal marijuana helped get him off of a prescription drug that's provided by, doctors. And that's not even taken into consideration as the medical benefits for those people that are addicted to medical drugs.
And what happens when they take them off those drugs? What happens when the Oxycontin's not there? What do? They run to the street. They're buying heroin on the street, and they're overdosing.
Right.
So is this the ultimate game plan, by the powers that be? You got to wonder, especially in the, more economically distressed neighborhoods, which tend to be your Black, brown, and Asian neighborhoods. We really can't have this. Hey, Rev, what's up, buddy?
He said, "Blessed be Tree family, what patients and caregivers are organizing on the future responses, specifically medical non-commercial?" Yeah, I don't think there's anything or any true front attempting to overtake Prop 64,
Dennis had an interesting position back when I was helping him. He was still with us to try to get the message out what Prop 64 meant to the cannabis patient, the medical cannabis patient. We fought vigorously to make sure that we pointed out all of the language in 64 that if you really analyzed it was going to come back and bite us in the butts. And it has. There's no fun in saying, yeah, we got you. What we got to do now is look at other alternative tools that are available to us to try to remedy this thing before it's gone forever. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. I want to play devil's advocate here for a minute for the people out there that think Prop 64 is good and that it's working, and may think that the only true problem with it is the localization or localized control over production, because that pretty much stagnates innovation, more opportunities for more people to get involved in free market opportunities. So it monopolizes the cannabis market there with the local control. Do you think that by removing just that portion of Prop 64 would make it better, or just get rid of the whole thing completely?
Well, the problem that we face right now with Prop 64 is you will have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's so many statements that are made into Prop 64 that are just not legally accurate. They cannot be supported. If your audience is willing to join us in a day or two, we have some big news. Okay, we do plan on challenging this at a lot of levels. One of them is, with you being in governor, you're going to have some executive power opportunities. You have a swamp that you'd be going into. There are a lot of lobbyists and a lot of influencers that are up in Sacramento that are not going to take to this kindly. But if you go back to the foundation, which was, the language in Prop 64, was it legal? Did it pass muster? Were there statements made that are factually and legally accurate? And the answer to that is, in many cases, no.
Right.
You are thoroughly within your right to correct that from there. Now we're living in historic drought conditions. And, if we start looking at the environment and what we've got to do to be white hat growers, the guys that care about the pesticides, the toxicities, the amount of water we're using, all of these things combined, at the end of the day, it's a medical patient getting relief, like a John Prinz, okay? Mm-hmm. Bless him. He stood by, he's fought, and nobody listens. Most of the time, nobody listens.
Yeah.
And, you can hear that from Dave. You can hear that from a lot of people. This goes over their head. They can't believe the depths of the conspiracy that happens over this little, basic, gorgeous plant.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's all because of how much money that plant could generate for them. I mean, these are still people, and we're thinking that they're going to be, for some reason, these upstanding model citizens, and that they're not going to let greed corrupt them. They're not going to let special interests or, special relationships influence them in any way. And they fall victim to that. Unfortunately, when they do, we the people end up suffering because of their faults, their character flaws.
Well, we're all subject to the American Medical Association and Big Pharma, Big Ag. And here's your real problem with this. If they're not going to take medical cannabis seriously, because it can't be patented, then it's not going to be an offer that your normal doctor-patient relationship is going to put as an option. They're going to better prescribe you something that the prescription drug, the pharmaceuticals have done all their trials. It's FDA approved. You've got money going back to your shareholders. But, like John was saying, he's addicted. Did it really do the job? Did it affect him? Did it give him a higher quality of life? When the answer to all those questions are no, then you seek out cannabis. And then when you're somebody like John and you'll start looking into the law and the language that's being used in that law, there's people you've had on your show like Wayne Justman, is 40 years as an AIDS patient or more, I guess, 50. And as he looks at what he's doing today and his quality of life, he owes that plant and Dennis Perone a great debt of gratitude because they had that happen. But what's happening in 2021 is this confluence of events. You have Gavin Newsom being called out for COVID, corruption, mismanagement, pay to play. And he was the lieutenant governor at the time Prop 64 was passed.
Mm-hmm. So, and was one of the lead supporters of it also. I think he even co-authored it or something. But
he had his lobbyists, and I don't remember all their names, but if you look at where the money came from, always look at the money. That was a Sean Parker, George Soros initiative. Mm-hmm. And when we fought it, at the time, I wrote on behalf of Dennis Perone, because he had some strokes, and I used that opportunity to try to educate people as to what the specific languages was in 64 that was going to be a problem. And what we ended up finding out is that it was worse than we expected once you start digging in. So the people that will support an initiative like that are generally doing it either because they're totally misinformed, which most of the celebrities and musicians, they just thought, oh, this is progressive, it's going to be better. But it forgot about the medical cannabis patient. And today we have, even though the connection sucks and we didn't get John all the whole show, people that are saying, this is not what we bargained for. It's not what we anticipated back in 96 when we brought Prop 215 in and started this slow turn to legal cannabis in the United States through California portals.
It sounds
we need your help.
Indeed. I mean, I'm hoping that I have an opportunity to follow through on that demand, because it sounds like state officials are trying to claim intellectual property rights over the cannabis industry.
I think people say it's the money, but I think it's the control. They want the control over our lives because they print money at will. It's a fiat economy. This money is backed by nothing. It means nothing for them to withhold 50% of your check, other than that they have control over you when they do that. And then every year you have to file a return and say where that money went, and justify everything else. So you're not a free man. You're not a free person under those type of controls. And cannabis in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, one of those things, Richard Nixon, he was the president at the time, and he had the Schaefer Commission put together so he could try to bury the hippies. They were all a bunch of pot smokers and they're protesting the Vietnam War, and I just can't have this. Find things that are wrong with cannabis. And the Schaefer Commission came back and said, there's a lot of good that cannabis does. So we need to learn more about it and put some time into it. And Nixon didn't want to hear that. So he shelved it by giving it to the pharmaceuticals, who didn't do anything with it for 20 years. But on the other hand, Israel, for example, and Dr. Meshulam and others discovered, the THC cannabinoids and started to understand what the relationship was through what we call the entourage effect, a wide variety of cannabinoids working together with the endocannabinoid system in our body. And we cannot throw out all the medical value. I mean, when you talk about Charlotte Figi in Colorado and what that did for her seizures, we learned from that. It stopped the seizures, but since they weren't land-race genetics, with Jamal yesterday, we were talking about it. When you hybridize these genetics to the point where they no longer are land-race, you start to develop tolerances. And these are the kind of things that we need our cultivators to maintain those genetics and not get a Monsanto to buy up all the genetics, and they're not going to be available, because there's people like John that if we deviate from that and that cannabinoid profile changes, that could be a death sentence to him. He can start having horrible thoughts and become suicidal and God knows what else. So I know I might be rambling a little bit, but medical cannabis, and I am one of those patients, is one of those things we have to fight to undo 64, or cannabis as we know it will not be anything like we remember it.
Yeah. Well, it's sad that a plant itself has to be labeled medicine in order for it to be well received by the community.
Well, what's the difference? You tell me the difference between a medical and a recreational cannabis plant. What do you think?
There isn't. It's more so just by state officials to call it a drug so they can control it as a substance, like you said, tax it, regulate it, do all of that stuff. I forgot what the name of the plant, but I just read an article recently about how this TikToker smelled some yellow flower in Canada and it got her high. It's like a hallucinogenic, but it's a flower and they called it a drug, and it's like, it's a flower. Okay. It's not a drug because it's natural. It's, God gave us that. It's a plant. It's growing out the ground. So if someone sniffs a flower, you can't automatically just deem it a drug because of its effects. But by doing so, they're able to, again, control how many people have access to the flower, how they're using that flower, and of course the sale of that flower. And that's the same thing that's happening with cannabis, because I believe in that statement that all marijuana use is medicinal, because if we as a society had was accustomed to eating foods with sea moss in it, our bodies have 120 plus alkaline chemicals or whatever the case may be. Sea moss has 90 of those, 90 plus. So if we were used to having that as part of our diet, we would be just eating it as food, wouldn't see it as being a medical treatment. But in effect, that's essentially what we'd be doing, right?
And it's not just cannabis, it's all the food we eat. You know, society today, we're eating a lot of processed food. So we have higher blood pressures, we have obesity. All of these things are significantly affected by our diets. So growing your own food and cannabis, your meds and your foods, is a great way to take back control of your life. Now, this is great news I got today. One of my handful of people in the aquaculture industry, highly respected, called me, and this year, February, they're going to have the International Aquaculture Convention here in San Diego, and I've been offered to be a guest speaker for cannabis vis-a-vis how we grow it in aquaculture systems. And, the audience doesn't know, I met Nickolas online, and I invited him out here to San Diego to where he could do a whistle stop, and he did, and I got to meet him and his wonderful family. But he's the real deal. I don't get behind somebody that I feel is going to be bought and paid for eventually. I don't think that Wildstar is capable of doing. But I look forward to the future, because we're just getting started, folks, and we're not giving up. Failure is not an option, is it, Nickolas?
Oh, no, not at all. We're not stopping until we win this war, because it's been going on too long. That's how I feel, as if, what John was talking about, what he experienced in the 90s, and what can we expect for the next generation? They shouldn't have to pick up and deal with these same struggles that we're also having to.
Well, and it'll be unrecognizable. I mean, they'll think, it's a $30 gram. That's the price you pay. Oh, you can't grow that. Where's your mask?
Exactly.
All of these things are a social kind of crowd control, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Conditioning, for sure.
It's conditioning. So we don't know today what tomorrow is going to look like unless we help. And thank you, Governor Wildstar. This is the beautiful thing about this. Everybody that's starting to get this message now will understand. And here's a little story I want to tell about some really long-term 2-3 generation growers up in Northern California that were just busted. And they're not charged. They steal all the cannabis. They steal the guns, the money, everything there that they use to operate and have been doing for generations. They employ people. They put money back into the local economy. But what happens? Well, they're gone. They don't have the money anymore to fight legally what is no way going to be interpreted as a legal operation. However, you're violating higher federal law, okay, as a licensee. You knowingly are taking a state license and telling the Fed to go fuck themselves, that the Controlled Substance Act doesn't apply to you. How long do you think that's going to last before the Fed eventually, whenever they decide to, it might have something to do with the color of your skin, how powerful you've gotten. What's next? Yeah, what's next? You are, okay? So the real American is the one that is with the Nickolas Wildstar, that's willing to support him, that's willing to maybe not publicly contribute, but you just lost whatever you lost, 6 figures in that raid. You may lose your property, because your property is going to get a lis pendens. It's going to be encumbered for all the eradication charges. They'll charge you for the helicopters, all the black boots. Everybody's going to get that together and get that bill to the landlord or the owner. And if you're the owner, it comes on you. So you've just lost your property. And what happens? I mean, this is a business now for the government to steal using an illegal law, 64, to do so. We're going to do something about it. And we're going to do it for a lot of reasons. The medical patients are just one.
Yeah, I want to say thank you again for taking the time out of your schedule. I wish we could have been able to speak with John a bit more, but hopefully we'll have a chance to bring him back on again soon. But I would like to talk a little bit more about this whole conflict of interest with, incriminating yourself. So hopefully tomorrow when we speak with Dave Armstrong, who's going to be on, we can dive into that a bit more. And speaking of Dave, he is matching all donations being contributed towards the campaign right now up until midnight tonight. So if you guys make any contribution, no matter what the amount is, Dave Armstrong will be matching that. I just got $500 from George of 420 College. So Dave, I got 500 coming from you already. But if you want to help us reach that $5,000 before the end of the weekend, since we are running a money bomb to make sure that we have that 4,200 filing fee and a little bit extra to make sure that we have a statement in that candidate handbook, then please, again, join Team Wildstar by heading over to the website, wildstar2022.com, as you can see right there at the bottom of your screen. And please make a contribution today. Dave Armstrong will match that. So make that as soon as possible.
Hey, do we have anybody else out there that will do it?
Up to $500. What's
Who
that?
else? We need another Dave Armstrong. Let's get it
right. We need more Dave Armstrong.
So do you think you're going to start getting mainstream media attention with all this, Nickolas?
Oh, yes, definitely. I know for certain that once I lock in my spot as a candidate, that I'll be getting much more attention. I mean, I've been getting lots of reception from the media so far. So I know for sure once I legitimize myself by making sure that I'm locked in, that I'll get even more attention over the next few weeks. But
can you tell us about the other candidates? For example, Kevin Faulconer, he was the mayor of San Diego recently, and I'm trying to get this reporter on your show. She did an expose where he got into a sweetheart deal on an asbestos-filled building as mayor. It's called 101 Ash Street. None of these people that I see that are running for the specialty election have the kind of vigor and clear line of sight that you do, and they have baggage which you don't have. When you start digging a little bit under the skin with Faulconer, you're going to see that he is not the right person to fill the 1 year, that's all we have, to try to correct some of the wrongs in this state.
Oh yeah, I've heard some of the bad relationships that he's created with social equity license recipients in Los Angeles. So if he's already having that type of effect as a former mayor of San Diego on the people of Los Angeles, then it's safe to say that the majority of people in California won't be very
he
well.
He was the best mayor you could pay for.
Right, exactly. But when it comes to him, Cox, Jenner, I mean, those are the ones selected by the mainstream media to prop up and say, hey, these are the best shots that you got, to pretty much discourage people from wanting to vote yes to recall Gavin Newsom. Because if they think, that's the best that it is to offer, then they're going to be like, why trade one of those instead of Gavin Newsom? I mean, Republicans are outnumbered as far as voters 2-1 in California when it comes to Democrats. Factor in Greens, Libertarians, no party preference, and it's like 4 or 5-1. So in order for a Republican governor to win against Gavin Newsom, they got to come with something more than what the Democratic Party and him has to offer. And that's exactly where I step in to provide that opportunity to.
Well, on a number of fronts, not just cannabis, but the drought, water regulation, gun control,
criminal justice reform, homelessness, taxes.
Yep.
I mean, across the board, guns. I'm really the only candidate that people should be voting for. I'm the only candidate I'm going to be voting for. So hopefully people will follow my lead,
And this is the other thing. When George or Dave or anybody else is involved in this, I even ask our guests, I say, contribute something, because otherwise you're just part of the problem. You might be bitching, you might be moaning, you might not be happy, but when you can really do something about it and you have a voice, and this is, what our democracy, representative democracy, should be, getting somebody in there, not that the media tells you is right, but that you've decided is right.
Exactly. It's up to us to occupy that public space. And a public official is occupying a public position. We need to be making sure that if they're not going to be the spokesman that we hired them to be, that we're taking that back and putting in someone else that is. So hopefully the people of California will get behind me being that spokesperson. And I appreciate you and your support, Darryl, with everything that you're doing and helping bring more attention to my campaign.
Why are you running? Why are you running? What just made you decide to want to do this?
Ultimately, just seeing the failure of leadership in my community. I lived in Fullerton at the time, and I saw the homeless population spike tremendously, go from a few hundred people to maybe 5,000-6,000 out there in Orange County. We were living off the riverbed right outside of the Anaheim Angel Stadium in Anaheim. And so to see this concentration of wealth, so much money, and then right outside, see destitution, it's
how do you fix it? Literally, though, you got 1 year. How do you go into Skid Row and change, a well-established pattern of corruption and give these people hope? What do you do?
Well, right now, that trickle-down economical system where we, the people, the taxpayers, are being raped of our money, and it's being given to the government to do something with the people, underneath
on the street. Yeah, and it's not getting there.
That's not happening at all. Somewhere along the way, it's getting clogged, and I'm going to get into office to find out exactly where that is, uproot that, remove it, and let that flow. But regardless of the fact, I plan on sidestepping them and making sure that as governor, I'm able to deliver to the people of California directly. We shouldn't have these state agencies involved anyway, where more nonprofit organizations, churches, just people of the community are better well equipped to fill that void. It doesn't always have to be done by government agency.
You're more of a political animal than me, but I'm a businessman. My background's engineering, and I like to look at things like, okay, so if you can take a ship and turn it, it takes a long time to do that. But when you only got a year, what I would do is incentivize things outside the box that immediately make a difference at the street level. And that's the only reason I built 151. I mean, I knew I got energy and water savings, but when it started to become a social equity platform, regardless of skin color, we all eat.
Oh,
and
yeah, exactly.
When I knew I could do this and bring this in, it's kind of fulfilling to know that, you could, and it's not being done currently, incentivize these types of things in urban agricultural opportunities that get people together and give them a sense of purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And I don't know how
you feel that need. Government didn't do that. You did that with your own ingenuity. And that's what I'm saying is, as a government official, that's what I feel like government agencies and government representatives should be doing for the community, is give them the resources that they need, enable them, get out of the way, and stop being that that force that they need to go through in order to have everything be better. So
there's so many places we got to get to work, though. How do you feel about qualified immunity? And I don't know how much control you'd have over justices having qualified immunity, but police, for example, do you feel that they should be given immunity for their actions?
Not at all. I think every person should be taking responsibility for their actions. And I think, if anything, public officials have even a greater responsibility to do so, since they are being hired by people of the community to be that leading example. So if there's an extra layer of protection there that allows them to get out of trouble when needed, or get out of jail, they shouldn't have a get out of jail card. And that's exactly what
we're talking. The police, though. I mean, if somebody abuses their authority,
as well as judicial immunity, or any.
So this is exactly what I'm going for. I think we need citizen councils that, hi, Julian, is it? Julian. Hi, Julian. What I think we need is a citizens advisory boards or councils that can run interference, because I do also see that we don't want to keep our police tied up in courts with frivolous lawsuits, but the courts are in a position to dispatch a frivolous lawsuit. And if a person consistently files frivolous lawsuits, they're going to be barred from the court. We have those mechanisms. But I think if we have a citizens panel that can review these complaints, then I think judicial immunity can be given the boot. It can be gone, because we really do need to know that those that are enforcing our laws will live by those laws.
Exactly.
And that goes to, for example, health insurance. Why should our senators and our congressmen have special health plans that the average person doesn't have?
Exactly. Yeah, we're the ones paying for it.
Exactly. No. And what are most of our pension funds right now? Are they properly funded for most of these local governments? Of course not. So what these local governments, and maybe even the state, but I know for sure a lot of your local governments do not have the money to cover their pension liabilities.
No.
They're looking for cannabis to save that. And when you start looking at 75% of your gross income going to taxes, that 25% doesn't leave enough for payroll, buying new inventory, paying all your bills. What it does do, it puts that money as one shot in the arm for maybe a couple, 3 years until you eventually go belly up to fund those pensions. And those pensions are ridiculous.
Oh yeah, I think in the state of California it's tipping $2-3 trillion, and it's going up and up and up. So that's
what are you gonna do? What can you do about it? What can you do?
End it. I'm gonna end that pension program.
Well, I mean, these were deals that were made before you. So, I mean, from a legal perspective, it has to be sidestepped and managed. But you're going to run straight head on into the unions and special interests over this.
Well, this is the thing, is you can cancel any future contracts. So that's what I'll be doing as the new governor, is saying, I'm going to take the job. I'm not going to accept any pension, and any new state employee will not be receiving a pension. What we will do is we will pay off all of those people that we did make a promise to, because that's the biggest concern for pension recipients, is how much money they're going to receive, especially when it's questionable that at any time the state could go bankrupt and now you're not getting a dime, But if we say, hey, here's $1 million check, and settle out, on those amounts, then that's all it really takes for someone to be, complicit with dissolving the pension program. So if we can do that, get past that hurdle, get J.G. Wentworth involved, and get, come up with some structured settlement. So now we have a defined amount of how much we have to pay off to take care of the previous pension recipients. And now we know moving forward, there will be no more pension program,
Well, I mean, or something that's compatible with private industry. It's gotten so sweet right now. They're making more in pension than they ever made on the job.
And that's the thing is, if you want a job that's cushy, where you get all these benefits, go work in the private sector. You shouldn't be getting all of those perks in a public position. If anything, I don't think public officials should be getting paid at all. If we got there to where it was voluntary.
Maybe term limits are something you need to address too. I mean, how do you get
definitely
your House and your Senate together on this, though? I mean, that's the thing. You're going to have a hard road to hoe with the House and the Senate already established. What I'm thinking we need to do is step by step. Your cabinet's unique. It's going to be yours. And we have to look at term limits, and we have to look at lobbying reform.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I'd also be able to appoint directors of commissions, regulatory agencies, that sort of a thing, judges. So I believe that we need some constitutional judges in our, district courts, and basically make that judicial change there first, because the governor is also commander in chief. So there is legislative power there. And
you control a large your California Guard and all that. What do you do about insurrection and the protests that turn violent and turn to where they're burning buildings and people are being stabbed and killed? Some of this is insurrection. Oh, no. Some of this is flat out robbery, when they're stealing big screens and stealing weed. I mean, these are social equity cannabis dispensaries that are being fucking robbed.
Right.
And
give them a greater opportunity to defend themselves. Right now, if they're not allowed to protect themselves via a gun or something like that, and now they're incriminating themselves. We want to remove that. We also want to make sure that people, again, know that there are consequences for their actions, no matter how much you are upset about any issue. What I should be doing as governor is making sure that the majority of those issues are alleviated. That way, if people are upset, you don't have to hit the streets and riot and, whatever the case may be. But even still, police officers will have a job. They'll be doing that job. Police officers are not government officials. Sheriff's deputies are. So if anything, I plan on expanding our sheriff's departments. I don't think public officials should be getting or representatives should be getting paid more than $60,000. So I'll be taking a reduced salary. I think teachers and sheriffs should be getting paid $100,000 or more, but that'll be based on a performance-based salary. If you fail to do your job, no reason why you should continue to collect six figures because of it.
You've heard of the thin blue line, right? Where the police protect the police?
Yeah.
All right. So I've always thought that should be an honor when you turn somebody in for doing something illegal. So I recommended, and I don't remember what we called it, but having something on your badge that says, hey, I pointed out corruption in my industry, in my field. And by doing that,
whistleblowers.
Well, it's just going to change the dynamic. It's like, no, we're not here to protect each other. If you've done something that's illegal, if you're a bag man for an illegal dispensary, going in there and catching 5,000-10,000 a night to leave them open while you're busting everybody down the street, you, by doing that, are no better than the guy accepting the money in an office somewhere. Maybe it's your chief, maybe it's a sergeant, maybe it's a council person. But we see that everywhere. And cannabis is just one of those things which really irritates me, is that they don't have their shit together at the federal level either. So when we have these dynamics that compete, who gets caught in the middle? It's our Black, brown, and Asian brothers and sisters historically and continuously that are caught up in that. We can't tolerate it.
Yeah, and because it's causing too much a divide, especially when those communities are seeing that contrast, getting upset, and then responding to it. And that's what I'll be doing as governor. Right now, Newsom has not responded to the demands of the inner city, demanding justice, criminal justice reform. There was a step in that direction with the Stephon Clark law, but it's yet to reduce the amount of police shootings in the state, as well as uses of excessive force. So because there isn't any, I guess, strict disciplinary action being taken, they don't have anything to be afraid of. They aren't losing their jobs because of it. What is it? Marianne Schubert or whatever her name is. She's running to be the AG.
Yeah.
So those are the type of people that we got to keep out of office, and it's only going to happen if we make sure that we occupy the governor's office, occupy that seat, and make sure whoever that person is going to be responsive to us, we the people, and us only.
So you think you're, assuming you get in and you have that year with those actions, does that kind of pave the way for your first general election?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Once people in California see what I'm able to do over this next year, I'll give them every reason to reelect me in 2022. And they'll see.
Term? Do you get the second term too? I don't know. Special elections don't count against the 2-term limits.
Exactly. They do not.
Cool.
So awesome. Yeah, like when Schwarzenegger got elected, he had about 2 years. Gray Davis was about 2 years into his term before he got recalled. So he had a little bit more time. This is more towards the end of that term. So whoever takes office will only have a year before the gubernatorial election next year. So
good comment with Kester too. So I hope everybody's listening as well, Kester. And here's the thing: if you're one of the true Americans that's continuing to grow medical cannabis, you need to support Mr. Nickolas Wildstar, because what he's representing here is the liberties, the constitutionally protected liberties that you have as an American, not just a Californian. California is trying to make you defy higher federal law by an illegal conspiracy to get a license, which there's only a limited number of. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be regulated, because most of that goes to environmental issues that we got to maintain. And if asked, I would run that division of medical cannabis for the state of California. But nonetheless, what we have here is a complete complete breakdown of our laws when it comes to 64 and how it was sold to us. And it's going to take somebody like a Nickolas Wildstar to remedy that. Is what, first day in office? Did I hear you right?
Sir. That's my promise. If you check out my website, wildstar2022.com, right there at the bottom, click on pledges and you'll see my first 100 days in one. On my first day in office, I'll be performing my first 100 days actions. And nullifying Prop 64 is one of them. So
you are going to be a busy guy.
Oh yeah, just a desk job. That's all it really is. I mean, they make it more grandiose than it is, but it's just a desk job, you know.
So we've had some pretty good selection in the last 5-8 days of people that have come through that have been advocates of repealing, nullifying 64. But we've also got new guests coming up. David Armstrong, who ran one of our biggest collectives in California, and when he ran up against the State Board of Equalization, they found out that what they were dealing with in somebody like Dave is somebody who's informed, that's read the law, that understands what can and cannot be done with cannabis under federal law. And Dave was right. All right. So what do? They got to silence him. Those other people that are right are out there too. But, this is a delicate balancing act, and it's a job for somebody that's got a big picture view like you do, Nickolas. We need more of those guests on here to participate in these conversations. So Friday, we got James Cotton. He's an environmental scientist. He's going to talk about the depleting water levels in our state and what that's meant about salt water coming in these coastal communities and taking over where fresh water had been. And these are environmental disasters. And James, if you're on, I'm looking forward to you coming in. He speaks for Humboldt County. They have ran into projects that are 1 million square foot of cannabis grow. And the community finally says enough. We're not going to be impacted by 1 million square foot of canopy and all the environmental resources that are going to be devoted to seeing that business operation maintained 365 days out of the year. Nickolas, these government agencies have gotten out of control. All right.
Oh, yeah.
We got to stop it. And I think a wide variety of guests, even those that would propose 64 should be stayed. We should leave it in place and fix it. We're interested in hearing from you guys. We don't accept that,
yeah,
but we want to hear your thoughts as to how you fix that which is broken.
Well, that's why it's a roundtable discussion. That way we can hear people out, and so if you're watching right now, these community Q&A sessions are open to those that may oppose as well. So if you'd like to get involved, contact me. You're again welcome to head on over to my website, Wildstar2022.com. Send me a message, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. Social media, you can contact me. Let me know if you want to sit down with Darryl Cotton and I.
It'll be an hour well spent. Maybe you can teach us something.
Right. In the meantime, Darryl, I do appreciate you being here with me today, and I'll be talking to you tomorrow. You take care until then.
All right. Thanks.
All right. That again, ladies and gentlemen, Darryl Cotton of 151 Farmers. You can check them out at 151farmers.org. And come back tomorrow. We'll be sitting down with Mr. Dave Armstrong, a cannapreneur out here in the state of California. I don't know if he's still here. The state officials may have ran him out of state by busting his legal cannabis business. But with Governor Wildstar in office, we'll be bringing him back, as well as many other people that have left the state due to, rising costs of living or taxes or bad laws or whatever the case may be. We're going to get rid of all of that, make California the golden state that it once was, better than ever before, so we can bring back liberty and all of those people that were ran away because of it back to the state of California. So head on over to my website again, Wildstar2022.com, right there at the bottom of the screen. You can find out more about my policy proposals, my Gold New Deal, my Phoenix initiative to open the state, and those pledges. Click on that pledge button to find out what I will be doing on my first day in office. Okay. And definitely be sure to click on that Money Bomb tab, since I'm running that Independence Day Money Bomb this weekend and doing my best to fundraise $5,000 to get this ball rolling and get Team Wildstar in the fight for this special election. Okay, so you can help in that effort, of course, by connected with me on social media, helping spread the word. As you can see right there down at the bottom of the screen. If you haven't connected with me yet, do so as soon as possible and share. It's free of charge, doesn't cost a damn thing, and it's much needed right now because I am being shadow banned and censored on social media platforms as well as on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and share any of my videos there. And definitely be sure to take the Cash App Challenge. right now that's being promoted in addition to the money bomb to help get that $5,000 as soon as possible. So Dave Armstrong has offered to match any donation up to $500. And today I got $500. So I already got $1,000 in the bucket, and I want to get as much as possible as quickly as I can, like I said, to get $5,000. So Dave Armstrong out there, Cannapreneur, who will be on this community Q&A session here tomorrow. Please be sure to contribute as much as you can before midnight tonight. He will match any donation up to $500. So if you can only give $5, give it. He'll give $5. If you can give 50, give it. He'll give 50. If you got 500, definitely give that, and he will match that donation as well. But if you can't afford to give anything at all, just please spread the word. Let others know why they should be contributing towards the effort to bring back liberty in the state of California. So share the Cash App information there right at the bottom of the screen, or our website, Wildstar2022.com. All right, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Finally eat something today. But I'm going to enjoy my meal and see you all tomorrow. So take care till then. Long live liberty. Peace.